Hi everybody, and welcome back to Kimbo's Comfort Kitchen, and this is part 2 of a recipe that first one included creamy mushroom sauce, which if you haven't seen it, you can go onto YouTube and find it on my channel. And if you have, now you can find out exactly how to cook pork medallions properly so that they don't taste like rubber or use them as hockey pucks as we would here in Canada, because too many people overcook their pork. A lot of people don't want to see any pink in it. Well, you know what? If that's what you want, that's fine, but it's not necessary. A little bit of pink in your pork is perfectly fine. So let's get to it, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do this really super easy method. Okay, so this is the first part, and it's probably the most important part of doing a pork tenderloin, and that is this is the silver skin. Most of it's been removed, but it's going to be about the thickness of the medallions, because most people, in my opinion, overcook tenderloin, and that's really a shame, because this is the best part of the pig. It's the tenderloin, just like it is on a cow. So the idea is you got to get a feel for this here. I don't want it to be too thin, but obviously you don't want it too thick either. So you don't need a hammer. You don't have to pound it. Just push it out like that, and you get an idea of how thick the medallions are going to be. Now that was the cap there, so that's the thickest of all of it. So that's going to be a little bit thicker than what you want. But if you make the medallions too thin, you won't be able to fry them properly, because they'll end up, if you want the nice crust on the outside and you don't have them thick enough, they'll end up being overcooked. So here's what you're left with as we get towards the tail, of course. And now this piece here, well, what do you do with that? Well, I'm not going to do anything with it. I'm just simply going to flatten that out, and I'm going to cook it just like it is. Okay, so those are the medallions, and we'll go from there. All right, so I've let the medallions come to room temp, which is important. You don't want these to be cold. You want them to be room temperature. It's much easier to cook that way. And I've got this black truffle sea salt. Now, sea salt is very flaky, so I know it sounds dumb, but it's not as salty as regular salt is, because it dissolves much faster. It doesn't have the same density. Now, obviously you can just use regular salt, but I think it's important to season your medallions ahead of time. Okay, so there we go. I'll season that one, and I'm going to do that here, and I'm going to let this rest and let the sea salt absorb into the medallions for about a minute, and then I'm going to flip them and do the same thing. Okay. All right, so now it's time to put the medallions in the frying pan. I'm using my hands because I have asbestos hands and they're clean. Otherwise you can use tongs. So the idea right now is to sear them, or if you will, braise them quickly. And they don't have to be cooked all the way through while you're doing this, because they will finish cooking on their own. Same time, I'm also making stovetop baked potatoes, which you can see my recipe for that in the upper right corner. So yeah, and the sauce is right over here. That's already ready to go, and I'll do the vegetables afterwards for a complete meal. We'll come back. I should mention, you're going to be tempted to lift these when they're still sticking to the pan after you put them in, but don't. As soon as they lift on their own, you'll know that they're ready. Okay, it's been a couple minutes. You'll see right now. See how they lift off on their own? They're not sticking anymore. Slight braising. Looks great. And there you go. This is on like 3/4 heat right now. So I'm going to let these go for another 2 minutes because I don't want to overcook these. You definitely do not want to overcook tenderloin. We don't want to be, using them as hockey pucks. We want them to be juicy, tender, and slightly pink inside. If we do the job right, that's what's going to happen. Alright, so these are done. I'm going to put them on a separate plate right now just to let them rest before I actually plate the dinner. I don't want them to continue cooking. Otherwise, they're going to be overcooked. So before we begin plating, I want to take one of the medallions and cut it open for you. And that is perfect. Slight pink. You can't get better than that. And it's still juicy. That's what we're aiming for from the beginning. Okay, so all the components are ready. And let's plate. There we go. Gotta find the spoon first. So, a lot of times people like to put the sauce over top of everything. Personally, I like the sauce underneath. Visually, it's more pleasant. And it allows you to dip and pick and do what you want. So, here we go. And this is beautiful pork. Not overcooked. It's not tough. I'm not cooking it in a sauce for half an hour. You can take it and dip and do what you like. And here we go. Some potatoes. These are my stovetop roasted. Scrumptious. And then we finish off with some steamed vegetables. And they're very plain. Nothing fancy. A little bit of salt, that's it. And a little bit of pepper. You could season the vegetables with Italian seasoning and other things if you want, but personally I think this is the dish. So here it is, a 1-2 combo. Mushroom, cream mushroom sauce and pork medallions that don't taste like hockey pucks. Hope you enjoy this, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.